here with Nate Schweers. We're here to predict our Saturday college pick'em week 7, I believe. But we're doing our week 1 version right here, our first ever one. Nate, how we doing?
Good, Mike. Good. We're here. We're picking games. If I were a betting man, I'd have a lot to say this week. Lot to say.
Last week we attempted, but it didn't work out. We had a better slate last week. But as you talked to before, we did miss a few games last week. So we're happy to start it off again this week. So we're going right into it. We're going ACC matchup. Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. Nate, we'll start with you. What do you got?
I think Notre Dame's an easy pick here. I will say I really like Sims, the quarterback over there. Down in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, he can really throw the ball well. They got a young backfield. They got some young skill positions. I think this game is less about Notre Dame and it's more about Georgia Tech. I think that it's a good test for a Georgia Tech offense that shows some signs of life here and there. I think it's going to be a really good team in the future, but I think Notre Dame probably, walks away with this one easy. Little tune-up game for the big one next week.
Yeah, Georgia Tech gave up 48 points last week to Boston College. So, ND looked really good against Pitt last week to top their horrific performance against Florida State. So, I'm taking Notre Dame as well. We're going to bounce right to a quick, easy pick. Clemson, Boston College. I'm taking Clemson here, but Boston College is playing decent football right now. I don't think it's going to be as big of a blowout as what people think. I'm saying maybe 20-25, but yeah, I'm taking Clemson here. But don't be surprised if Boston College comes out and plays well in the first half.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. I think it's the Trevor Lawrence show, Mike. It's the Trevor Lawrence show. Thrown for 1,800 yards already this year, 17 touchdowns. He can do it with the arm. He can do it on the ground. Clemson, again, similar to Notre Dame. I think this is a tune-up. I think we've got a big one in South Bend next week. I think for both Notre Dame and Clemson, this is a tune-up. Get your mind right. Get things moving in the right direction for what's probably the de facto ACC championship.
You will best believe I'll be nervous for that game. I'll be on the edge of my seat. All right.
As you should be.
We're going to the SEC here. Florida, Missouri. This is one of the games that I picked on the slate that is kind of more exciting than the others. I got like 3, but like we talked about, the slate's not very good. Florida had 26 COVID cases and hasn't played in it feels like 30 weeks. But they're 2-1. They're facing Missouri. I got a close game here. I think Missouri leads at the half, and I think Florida picks it up and they leave off where they. I got Florida. Yeah, that's all I got. I messed that up.
I got Florida. I think it's funny the pure karma of Dan Mullen saying after the A&M Florida game, we got to get fans in the stands in Gainesville. We got to get them there. Boom, COVID everywhere in Gainesville. All over the place. Missouri doesn't belong in the SEC. They haven't been good since they joined it. If you got Hy-Vee as a sponsor, Hy-Vee, big Midwest grocery store, you don't belong in the SEC. Florida, big. They bounced back from the A&M game. I think Kyle Trask is a good NFL prospect. I just don't think Missouri's very good.
Well, Missouri beat LSU.
The Fighting Bo Pellinis are bad. Yeah, they're bad. Yikes. Almost as bad as Nebraska.
Good segue. We're going into LSU Auburn. I'll let you start with this one.
Oh, gosh. I can't stand Bo Pelini, although I will say he is the best coach Nebraska's had in the last 12 years. They booted him out of town at 9-3. Haven't been good since. He's running the defense right now in Baton Rouge, and that defense is not good. Not good.
He had the Penguins hot.
But on the other sideline of a bad defense, you have the pedestrian, Bo Nix, a literal pedestrian. If you saw him walking across the street, I picture all the people in Auburn, Alabama, just sitting at a red light. You see Bo Nix walk across the street. Oh, that pedestrian. It's a pedestrian performance week in, week out. I got LSU in this one. I can't go with the pedestrian here, Mike. I can't do it.
I thought you were going to pick Auburn. You threw me for a loop there. I'm taking LSU, like we talked about. LSU is not starting TJ Finley, who absolutely exploded last week. They're going back. Ed Orgeron said, nope, we're going back to the redshirt junior.
I don't.
I trust Ed. He knows how to get it done, but I don't know if this decision is going to pan out for him. But you're exactly right about Bo Nix, the pedestrian of all pedestrians. And like I said last week, he looks good in the uniform. He can't throw the football.
I mean, think about his best moment of his young college career right now is the throw he made to beat Oregon last year, a ball that was severely underthrown. Probably should have been picked off, and that's like the throw people go to, like big game Bo Nix out here making throws at people's ankles.
Yeah. Georgia, Kentucky. Remember when Kentucky was ranked? Yikes.
Yikes. Yikes. Benny Snell. Kentucky, the next great national powerhouse.
I got there's not much to say here. Georgia wins this game they're blowing them out, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think Georgia takes care of business. I think that I think Georgia's a good football team, and I'm kind of excited to see where they're at when they inevitably meet up with Alabama again in the SEC championship game, because I think that they showed some really nice things in that game against Alabama. I think Stetson Bennett is fine.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. I think he does a good job with the weapons that he has, but I think that Georgia they got out-coached in that Alabama game.
I think if your head coach wears a visor, you have an advantage.
Might as well be in the third base coaching box in that visor.
All right, I like this next game. So we're both picking Georgia there. We're going to skip Oklahoma, Texas Tech just because I saw this game. We're going Kansas State, West Virginia. Kansas State is on top of the Big 12 right now. Think about that. They're leading the Big 12 right now. They're a pretty consistent football team. I was looking at their last few wins. They're kind of handling opponents. They're going in and they're beating West Virginia this week. And look out for Kansas State.
Kansas State. If I were a betting man, I've got Kansas State money line. I've got the over because it's the Big 12. You parlay that right together, you're making money. Kansas State's a good football team. They're going to be in Dallas at the end of the year for that Big 12 championship.
I agree. We're going to stay in the Big 12 here. We're going to go Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Michael Crabtree and Patrick Mahomes are not on the roster.
Not on the roster.
Rattler looked horrible the first couple weeks. I still don't know why or what I think about Oklahoma. I know I don't think they're very good, but again, they play in the Big 12. I'm taking Oklahoma, but don't be surprised again if Texas Tech shows up, plays a game. Yeah,
I mean, Texas Tech, I really liked Texas Tech in that game they played against Texas. It looked like a really, really high-powered offense. You talk about Spencer Rattler, though. He's leading the Big 12 in passing. And he just
when you throw the ball 65 times a game.
But he's still doing it. Yeah. He's still doing it. I don't know. I think that I told this to you last week. I think Oklahoma somehow finds a way to get back to the Big 12 championship game and wins. I said they've got to win out. And I think that's how they start. They start fast. They finish fast. They may blow out Texas Tech.
Okay. We're going right into my favorite game of the week. I don't know why, but it's Oklahoma State, Texas, and I have a few stats for you. I'm picking the Horns in this one, and the reason is they lead the series 24-9. But actually, I'm gonna let you say this next stat. Do you remember it?
Texas is 3-2.
Yes, the last time Texas was 3-2, and they played Oklahoma State, they lost. It was 2017. And you said that's why you're picking OK State?
Absolutely, it is. And I think Oklahoma State's the better football team. I think Tom Herman. I talk about a hot seat down there in Austin. Yeah. Oklahoma State looked really good against Iowa State last week. That was kind of the marquee matchup in the Big 12. I think the Oklahoma State defense is like they're an actual defense compared to some of the other teams in the Big 12. Chuba Hubbard's good. Spencer Sanders is good. I think they get it done in what is a oddly low-scoring game for the Big 12 Conference.
I just always go back. Was it Tulsa where they were just playing horribly week 2? Was that?
But look at Kansas State lost week 1. Iowa State lost week 1. The Big 12 was just not good at the beginning of the year, and I'm still not convinced there's a good team in the conference. But if there is one, I think it's Oklahoma State.
I think they just need to stick to basketball.
Kansas. Every year, Kansas on the football field. The Les Miles not getting it done.
It's just a joke. All right. Segment for our first show, the American Game of the Week. Memphis versus Cincinnati. I think you picked SMU last week. I picked Cincy. Cincy did pull it off. But Memphis, the last few years, they've shown promise, and they've shown it really a lot at home. So, but I'm still going to pick Cincy in this one. They're hot. They're a good team. And, yeah, that's what I got.
I'm going to go against you here, Mike.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Memphis. And the reason is because the reason we have an American Game of the Week is because the American Conference is always liable to have a shootout that ends with a team that had a college football playoff chance losing. They do it every year. They do it every single year. Memphis already lost a game, not going to make the playoff, unranked. But they're going to find a way to win this one. And Cincinnati's just going to be hanging out in the Fiesta Bowl again as the Group of 5 team. And, we're going to be right back to where we started with people playing in national titles.
Playing Tim Tebow in 09.
Oh, my gosh. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Game, 9 p.m. like last week.
Oh, my gosh. There's something refreshing. There's something refreshing, Mike.
What the American Game of the Week reminds me of? A little Maction.
Dude, but we don't have Maction right now. We got to go with the American Game of the Week. The American Game of the Week is the way to just ride it out until Tuesday night Maction gets here. We talked about this a little bit last week. When the American plays at 9 o'clock, it's like that game that you're just kind of excited about all week long. You never know how it might go. Maybe flip it on at halftime of the Ohio State-Penn State game, which we'll talk about later. But it's liable to just have somebody up by 30 points in the second quarter.
It's that I'm coming home kind of drunk, and you need something to watch, and they're there for you.
Hey, gotta love it. Gotta love it. You're not paying attention, but it's football.
If there was Maction, we'd have a full show just dedicated to the Mac. But
oh my gosh,
got a little too much time in the American, but I mean it's worth it.
It's the American.
Now we're finishing off with the Big Ten.
My favorite conference.
My favorite conference as well. Started off strong, huge rivalry. Michigan versus Michigan State. You picked this. You picked this last week. They handled PJ Fleck in the shining helmets. Did you see those helmets last week?
Me guy PJ Fleck with the chrome domes.
They destroyed him. I don't want to say this is Jim Harbaugh's year. He'll always blow it. But they looked really, really good. But it was Minnesota. And if Minnesota has fans, I think it's a different game. But I'm taking Michigan in this one.
Barrett on the defensive side of the ball for Michigan is the key. I think Milton's going to be a good quarterback. He's going to be the run-of-the-mill guy for Michigan. They've got some weapons on the outside. But that Barrett guy, oh, my gosh, he's all over the place. Sacks, fumble recoveries. He's a playmaker on that side of the ball, and Michigan State is bad.
You know what they say in East Lansing?
Big Ten preview, previewed Rutgers, and just wrote LOL, and they went into East Lansing and won. Yikes. Yikes.
I just said go green, right?
Go green, go white.
Go bird! Go green, go white. All that.
All right, I'm going to start. You're going to start this one. Iowa versus Northwestern.
I'm disappointed that you and I were just chatting last week. I talked about all the weapons that Iowa has. They scored 3 points in the second half against Purdue. Can't cover anybody, but they're going to win this week. I'm going to pick them every week. They're going to win every week, except for the weeks that they lose. This week I'm feeling good, though. I think Maryland is the new worst team in the Big Ten. But Northwestern's offense, sneaky efficient last week. Hawkeyes by a touchdown.
I think Fitzgerald's such a good coach. I'm taking Northwestern, but they're just always going to be in it. It's almost like Indiana, which we'll get to in a little bit here.
0-1 Indiana.
We're going Indiana here, but yeah, I'm taking Northwestern. I think Fitzgerald has a job for his entire life. He does it well there. But I mean, how do you commit to that school when you go to that stadium? But they get kids that can play. The grass is terrible. We're playing in the swamp.
There's something special, and I can't wait because I think it's going to be this weekend. ESPN, Hawkeyes, Wildcats. I got Beth Mowens on the call. Maybe Brock Ward as a color guy. Oh my gosh, Big Ten football's back. I just picture that field.
All right, I do too. Always.
Oh my gosh, off tackle running. Somebody's slipping and falling in the end zone.
It's gonna start sleeting pretty soon. All right, let's talk about what happened last week. We're going Indiana Rutgers. You surprised me. I'm a believer in the Hoosiers. You said that wasn't a touchdown. It was really hard to overturn. I get it. The Hoosiers are for real. I'm gonna say it off 1 week. They do this every year. They're always in when they play big opponents. They're always in it. They're always in the game.
They're 0-1. They're 0-1 in my book. They are 0-1 in my book, short of the end zone. Penn State's 1-0, still tied atop the Big Ten East. Indiana's a good team, though, and Rutgers is not good. They just played Michigan State.
They're undefeated.
Congrats to Greg Schiano, though. Back at Rutgers, 1-0. Look at this guy. But I think Indiana will win this one. Yeah, I just don't. I think they're 0-1.
All right. Wisconsin, Nebraska, the battle of the exact same uniforms. I wrote my notes here. Wisconsin is about to just ram it down Nebraska's throat. I mean, they're going to run the power I. They're going to run it between the tackles, and they're just going to bloody knuckle them all down the field, and it's going to be bad. Wisconsin, big.
I got our first Big Ten depth chart look for you.
Okay.
Check the depth chart. We are on to Chase Wolf in Madison, the third string quarterback in Madison. We got guys. We got guys dropping like flies in that quarterback room. But I can't pick the Cornhuskers. I just can't. Wisconsin all the way. But it's going to be tough. I don't see them moving the ball a whole lot. I hope Chase Wolf does it. Now, I'm pretty sure Chase Wolf will find out on Saturday. Pretty sure he also tested positive for COVID. But the depth chart only goes 3 deep. So I'm just kind of assuming that we're on Chase Wolf.
Yeah. I still think they're going to run the ball 65 times, now that you even say that. But, all right, we're heading to our last game, Ohio State, Penn State, game of the week. I'll start this one. I was talking to our graphic guy, Nick, and we had a little argument. I said it was going to be an absolute blowout. And he said when Penn State plays Ohio State, it's always a close game. So I don't know if this is an all Ohio State thing where fans get a little nervous. But I do believe Franklin's going to get the team ready to go. I think that was just such a bad loss for them that they have to bounce back so quick that they're going to forget about it. And they know they have this game coming up. But I just think Justin Fields is just absolutely the real deal. And I still think Ohio State by 20+.
Yeah. I'm concerned about Penn State. Noah Cain out for the year. Good running back there for James Franklin. We've talked about this at Ohio State this year, so it's not the best game of the year because if it was the best game of the year, it'd be under the lights in Happy Valley. But this is one of my favorite games. They always play each other tough. I really liked what I saw to Justin Fields last week. I think he's making a case for the Heisman, certainly. I think he's making a case to be 1B picked in the NFL draft. I think he's got so many weapons. Don't get me wrong, Penn State's going to play tough football. I think the defense for Penn State's going to be better in week 2 than they were against Indiana. But Ohio State was my pick to win the Big Ten and win it handedly, and I think they will win this game handedly as well.
I completely agree. All right, before we end the show, we're going to talk a little baseball. We did last week. I think by the time this video comes out, the World Series will be over. And I would just want to get your prediction on what you got. You had the Dodgers early, correct, in the first video?
I did. I had the Dodgers. I still have the Dodgers. I think that, the game's still ongoing, Game 6. But I think Walker Buehler, if it gets to Game 7, is going to be too much for the Rays. I got the Dodgers in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I hope the Rays win tonight. I hope I see a Game 7. If they do go Game 7, I think the Rays are going to do what they did in Game 5, and they're just all hands on deck, just throwing big Philly Brett Phillips out there, and he's going to get pinch hits and
Don't sleep on it. Maybe
again. But all right, quick slate this week. That's a show. Nate had a great time. We're going to be here on Sunday for you guys with the NFL slate. Well, other than that, you want to send us home, Nate?
Yeah, stick with us. Tough slate this week for week 1 of the College Pick'em show. We're going to try to make you laugh. We're going to try to talk about the game. But we love what we do. So even when it's a bad slate, we're going to try to talk some football, and hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, shout out our graphic guy, Nick, and shout out our website creator, PJ. All the guys that are working behind the scenes. Like we said last week, we get to do all the fun stuff. But those guys kind of go unnoticed sometimes, so we just want to shout them out. But we got a lot of stuff coming, a lot of ideas, a lot of new things. First video is going to be out Saturday. We'll see you Sunday. This is Big Nate. I'm happy I had you on. I'll see you Sunday. FanNoise.
Up in the slate.